Robert Kubica returns to F1 as Alfa Romeo's reserve driver, McLaren streamlined their leadership team, and Leclerc's contract reignites the Ferrari controversy. I am your host, Cranky Yankee, and let's talk about the first round of Formula One news in 2020. We kick off this week's news cycle talking about the promotion at McLaren F1 of Andrea Stella. The former Ferrari man and performance director will now take over all responsibilities related to racing director. This is very positive news for any McLaren fans out there, as it will line up the 2019 appointment of James Key as technical director. Having come from Toro Rosso, Key has history with Carlos Sainz, and Key's input will be felt for the first time in the 2020 season. The internal promotion of Stella is the realization of team principal Andreas Seidel's vision to a clear three-pronged approach to how the team operates. Seidel has been credited in many circles for the team's agility and ability to maximize the car in 2019 thanks to his leadership and his organizational structure. This announcement only cements that even further as it officially removes himself as the interim race director. This has been consistent for Seidel all along since he was appointed from the LMP project at Porsche. After the season ended and in the interim of him actually making the promotion of Stella, he was quoted as saying this: "It is important for me to have these characters straight from the beginning because I like clear responsibilities and also clear reporting lines, plus an organization which is easy to understand for the entire team. Now knowing how the regulations look, we're in the middle of the process to really analyze for each of these departments how do we think they need to be shaped in the future in order to extract the maximum as a team. This new lean McLaren is shaving the fat and streamlining the operation from top to bottom." 2019 truly was a testament to how an optimized team can, at times, punch above its weight. Combined with the strong performances of Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz, the pieces are in place thanks to Seidel and his new leadership team for McLaren to continue their upward trend in 2020 and beyond. That wasn't the only personnel change we saw on the grid this week. Robert Kubica was confirmed as Alfa Romeo's 2020 reserve driver. Kubica exited his Williams drive at the conclusion of the 2019 season and has since been exploring his options. On top of Alfa Romeo announcing Kubica to be their reserve driver, the team also confirmed that he was bringing Piquet and Orlen with him. The Polish petroleum company will now serve as Alfa Romeo's co-title sponsor in a multi-year, what they've called major partnership. So just to recap, we're going to be calling Alfa Romeo Racing Orlen, but not to be confused with Scuderia AlphaTauri Honda, previously named Scuderia Toro Rosso. Yeah, this should be fun. Speaking on his new appointment with the Alfa Romeo team, Robert Kubica had this to say: "I'm really happy to be starting this new chapter in my career as I join Alfa Romeo Racing Orlen. This team holds a special place in my heart, and I am pleased to see some faces still here. Time and circumstances are obviously different, but I am convinced that I will find the same determination and hunger to succeed. I am looking forward to helping Alfa Romeo Racing Orlen make the next step forward." With this move, it's also worth noting that, however unlikely I feel it may be, Kubica is still looking for a drive in an alternate series. He reported some handling issues in a DTM test drive he did with BMW in their M4 last month. So time will tell whether he gets an alternative drive, but we know one thing for sure: he will be the 2020 reserve driver for Alfa Romeo Racing Orlen. Speaking of confirmed drivers, now we can move on to Leclerc's contract extension, as well as Mattia Binotto's comments that he's recently made about the situation at Ferrari, that it's a little bit too soon to be picking at a wound that's not quite healed. Charles Leclerc has reportedly been confirmed with Ferrari through 2024 after securing 2 wins, 10 podiums, and 7 poles in his 2019 campaign. If you remember in the Ferrari meltdown video that I made talking about the Ferrari controversy throughout the season, how it unfolded right before our very own eyes, Mattia was firm that he was prioritizing Sebastian. Now, Ferrari have clearly changed their tune, and this is thanks to the wins by Leclerc in Monza and in Spa. I wanted to use this opportunity, though, to do something I thought was an interesting exercise, but let's actually take a look at the contracts, and then we'll talk about the last piece of news, which is Mattia's decision to say what he did about Seb's victory in Singapore. So we'll get to that, but first let's talk about the contracts that are expiring 2020. So as most of you likely know, there are major regulation changes coming to Formula One after the 2020 season and into 2021. Most of the contracts on the grid reflect that and are giving the drivers and teams some flexibility. I've popped up on the screen right now all of the drivers who have expiring contracts. The big question, and silly season is going to be insane, but where are they going to go? I'll also put on the screen who has contracts beyond the 2020 season. We'll start with Esteban Ocon, who secured a 2-year deal with Renault. replacing Nico Hülkenberg. Technically speaking, George Russell has a contractual obligation to drive with Williams, but he's still under the purview and under the umbrella of the Mercedes team. The Racing Point drivers as a unit are easily the most secure and safe drivers on the grid, and while we don't have the actual details of the contract for Lance Stroll, it's pretty safe to say as long as his father is involved with Racing Point, he's going to have a seat there. So I'm calling him secured, and I'm putting him on the list beyond what's up on the chopping block for 2020. Now, the connection between this general contract talk and specifically Sebastian Vettel's contract expiring after this season, giving Leclerc one of the largest and one of the boldest contracts we've seen a young driver get in a very long time, especially at Ferrari, that should be enough to make Vettel himself get a little bit worried. Now it's that time in the session where I leave you with something. You can talk about it in the comment section or just think about it through the week, but I want to make you think as you walk away from this video. Motorsport recently broke that in an interview, Mattia Binotto was quoted as saying, quote, "In the first part of the season, he has been put under a lot of pressure. I think he reacted very well in the second half. The victory in Singapore has been key for him, not only for the victory itself, but for the trust in the team. He knew that he could count on the team for help if necessary, but I think it was right. It was the right choice in time to let him win." So again, that last sentence, I think it was right. It was the right choice and time to let him win. Just to make sure the timeline is correct, Leclerc's contract was confirmed before Christmas, a couple days before Christmas. This interview was actually reported as breaking after Christmas. So Ferrari announced a major contract and a huge extension for Leclerc through 2024. A few days go by, and then Binotto is quoted as saying that Sebastian Vettel was handed the win from the team. This seemingly purposefully, insidiously dilutes Sebastian's performance that day. And since the Singapore Grand Prix, I can tell you I've had this conversation with some of you guys dozens and dozens of times in separate situations, and I challenge you, when you hear this story, not to immediately jump to, well, he was given the win. He was given the undercut. And I seem to remember Mattia Binotto after that Grand Prix confirming over and over and over again that no, this was not purposeful. Well, now it sounds like he's saying it is purposeful. So was it a lie back then, or is it a lie now? And the list goes on and on and on as to why this just doesn't make sense, and why, if it doesn't make sense, all that's left is this was meant to be insidious. This was meant to cut Sebastian down and take away that win. If you think about it from another angle, why would Ferrari not give the win to the driver who's younger and they've put their future in? Why would they take that win from their younger driver who just won at their home race, who just won the race previous to that as well, who's on a hot streak since the break? Why would you take that win from that driver? Furthermore, the rest of the logic disintegrates on its own. How could Binotto look back on this and say that it built trust for the team when not too long after in Russia, he defied the team, he went against the orders, and he didn't give the position back which he'd gained on the opening lap? And as I laid out in the Fall of Ferrari video, that Brazil incident was really a reflection of the season. If there was trust for anyone within the drivers of the team for Sebastian Vettel, Brazil would have never happened. I'm just failing to see how, when you look after Sebastian Vettel's win in Singapore, he somehow built trust in the team and how this has actually helped his situation. Let me ask you, why do you think Mattia Binotto actually said this? Was this something that he slipped up? Was this purposeful? Was there something behind this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for checking this out, guys. I'll see you early next week. I'll be publishing a video. Then on Thursday the 9th, you have both of the Ferrari videos to look forward to, which is going to be the republish of the Ferrari Meltdown and also my part 2 of Ferrari. And on top of that, I'll see you again next Friday for the next edition of Formula One News. I'll see you soon.